Thanks everyone for joining this event today on how to apply for CIPS IT certification. I'm Jonathan Elias, and I'll be walking through this presentation with you and answering any questions that you might have about CIPS certification. We kindly ask that throughout this presentation, you please keep your mic muted and your camera off. And we will have a question section at the end that I'm open to answering any of your questions. Throughout the presentation, if you like, you can put your questions down in the chat, but I will only get to them at the end for that Q&A period. So we'll go ahead and get started. So briefly about CIPS. CIPS has been establishing standards and best practices for IIT professionals since 1958, and we're a federation of 9 CIPS provincial societies that license IIT professionals both locally and abroad. Each CIPS Provincial Society is a community of IIT professional members and provides networking and professional development opportunities. Since 1989, CIPS's I.S.P designation is Canada's only legally recognized designation for IIT professionals, as it's legislated in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. Also, since 2008, CIPS has the ITCP designation, which is Canada's only internationally IP3P accredited designation for senior IIT professionals. And we'll be talking about both those designations, as those are 2 of the 3 designations that you can achieve when you apply the CIPS certification. CIPS's mission is to protect the public through ethical and skilled IIT professionals in practice in Canada, and to develop and align IIT standards for IIT professionals and accredited programs. Our mission is to increase the recognition of the IIT profession to industry, government, academia, and the public, and to develop and maintain the integrity and competence of individuals active in IIT. We also want to advance the theory and practice of IIT and promote sharing of information and establish public awareness of the potential impact and misuse of IIT. So quickly, just going to give some benefits of why you should become a CIPS member other than certification. To apply for CIPS certification, you must be a member first. However, there are a variety of benefits from being a member in addition to CIPS certification. So the first one would be to build your network. As a CIPS member, you can access a large community of IIT professional leaders, both across Canada and around the world. You can join national and provincial boards and volunteer on committees. You can also volunteer on international committees there as well, as CIPS has a big international presence, as we're a member of IFIP and IP3. You can engage with members in the CIPS community forum via discussions or sharing resources. You can connect with IIT professionals, thought leaders, and industry experts, and ultimately build meaningful relationships with thousands of members across Canada. You can also advance your career. So one of the benefits we're going to talk about today is that skills assessment and career planning tool, and we'll show you how you can use that to help advance your career. We highly recommend that you participate in both in-person and virtual events, attend various professional development, including webinars, webcasts, workshops, and conferences. Take advantage of volunteer opportunities to enhance your leadership skills and raise your profile, and get mentorship and career guidance to support your professional growth. And also, especially for students and newcomers, there's support for navigating the Canadian IT job market. Another reason to join CIPS is that you can help contribute to the IT community. So you can give back to the IT profession and help shape the future of IT, and help address Canada's IT skill shortage by supporting initiatives and providing a voice to government. You can also be part of global IT initiatives through partnerships like IFIP and IP3, like I mentioned, and contribute to Canada's global presence. And also, we can provide support to students, graduates, and newcomers, and provide mentorship and career guidance to members looking to develop their career, and ultimately looking to help to strengthen the Canadian IT industry and profession. Another reason to become a member is a variety of member benefits. So as a member, you'll get the CIPS newsletter, and you'll stay informed about the latest CIPS news, IT jobs across Canada, events across Canada, also virtual events and conferences, and then new member benefits as they come along. You'll have access to the member-only CIPS community forum on LinkedIn, and membership is checked and verified before members are allowed to join that group. You can take advantage of phone and phone plan savings via the Bell EPP plan that CIPS members are eligible for. So it's somewhat similar to a corporate plan that you might be eligible for from your employer if they offer Bell. But I can just say, I looked at various phone plans and phones for me and my wife last year, and this Bell plan and the phone discounts were by far some of the best I found. So especially if you don't have access to corporate phone pricing, that's a great member benefit to take advantage of. Also discounts on conferences and events throughout the year. So we consistently promote various conferences and events, and we get discounts for members to be able to attend those events. And same thing with professional development and training, because again, there's discounts for CIPS members to take advantage of those. And the last one I'm mentioning here is you can use Pergopolis to get discounts on products, services, software, events, hotels, airlines, and more. Pergopolis has so many things. I've seen like amazing discounts on laptops, even better than Lenovo website on Boxing Day. They have discounts on hotels and theme park tickets. You name it, it's probably there. And a great member benefit, again, to take advantage of. So another reason to join CIPS is that professional recognition and credibility. It might be one of the reasons that you're looking to apply for CIPS certification, to get recognition of your IT knowledge, experience, and continue professional development with a CIPS certification program and professional standards. The I.S.P designation, like I mentioned, is the only legally recognized IT designation in Canada since 1989. And the ITCP designation is Canada's only internationally IP3P accredited designation for senior IT professionals. Members also commit to the CIPS Code of Ethics and Professional Conducts yearly that reflects adhering to high standards in IT practice and helps build trust with employers and clients. And then finally, CIPS has been around since 1958. So we have a deep history and foundation across Canada and internationally. So this is that CIPS Code of Ethics that I mentioned that all CIPS members must agree to abide by, both when they first become a member as well as yearly. And those are to protect the public interest and privacy of information, to avoid conflicts of interest, to take professional responsibility, and to contribute to the IT profession. So this benefit, the skill assessment and career planning tool, this is one of the items that you will take advantage of when applying for CIPS certification. And essentially with this tool, you can assess your current IT skills with the international SFIA framework, which I'll talk about in a second. You basically take a survey to discover your current skills, and then you'll get a nice skill assessment report. And then you would use the planner to edit and update your skills throughout the year and set career goals and compare the skills that you have to the skills that you need in order to progress in your career. And then finally, you can create an action plan using this tool to develop those targeted skills. So this is the international SFIA framework. They just launched SFIA 9, but it gives you a zoomed out view of all the variety of skills that the SFIA framework includes. They're grouped in various areas. So for example, this red one is strategy and architecture, while this blue one is people and skills. And you'll see that each one also has subheadings with the specific skills, and then they're labeled from 1 to 7 in terms of their level. And you can see level 1 is the lowest at follow, while level 7 would be the highest level, where set strategy, inspire, and mobilize. Now you'll see some of these roles, like this top one here, they're only levels 4, 5, 6, and 7. So some of the skills, they don't have entry-level skill levels. They might only have available skills at higher levels. And you might have both skills, let's say a level 5 and 6, because they in some ways represent different things, and each of those has a description like you'll see. So that's SFIA framework. It has over 120 defined skills, global footprint in over 180 countries, translated over 12 languages. And using it, you can summarize an industry role using a variety of SFIA skills and levels. And it's not just an IT framework. It also includes non-IT skills that can be used for wider industry roles, especially the way things have been moving. IT is part of everything. There's so many roles that might not directly look like they're IT at first, but do require a lot of IT skills as well as people skills. And it can be used by large companies, it can be used by individuals, or it can be used by whole countries as well for their national skills and competencies. So how CIPS is using SFIA is we're using that for the skill assessment, like we said, for our members to assess their skills and plan their IT career. That career planning, I'll show you how you can use that tool in a second. And then we also use it for professional development, certification, like we're going to go through. Mentorship program, in particular, we have an Alberta mentorship program that is utilizing it with other provinces. We'll be adopting something similar in the near future. The accreditation, CIPS accredits various IT programs across Canada and internationally. And again, SFIA is utilized there. And then we also show our members can utilize SFIA in order to both decode job postings, apply for job postings, and find the jobs that are right for them based on the skills that they're assessed at. So CIPS certification. So when you apply for CIPS certification, we try to make it as easy as possible, where there's just a single application. You document your education and experience, and you provide the required documents. And then based on what you've provided, you can then be approved for one of these 3 designations. The AITP is essentially SFIA 1. The ITCP, which is the only legally recognized designation in Canada, that'd be about a SFIA level 3. And then the ITCP is about a SFIA level 5. So essentially, look at progressing through your career. You would start with the AITP, you would get the I.S.P, Canada's only legally recognized IT designation. And then the ITCP is more for senior IT professionals who also, in addition to IT skills, have business skills. And also the ITCP offers this international IP3P recognition. So simply what that means is, because it's IP3P accredited, someone, for example, from the Australian Computer Society with their CP designation that is also IP3P accredited, they can come to CIPS and get the equivalent ITCP designation, because there's this mutual acceptance for designations that have that IP3P mutual standard and international recognition. Now, when applying for CIPS certification, this is just a quick overview of some of those requirements. So the first step would be to become a CIPS member. And if you go to kips.ca/certification, this is exactly where this is taken from. And you can click these links and be taken directly to where you need to go. So for example, the first one, you could join to become a CIPS member. The next step is to pay the certification application review fee for your assessment. And then you would need to either provide references or sponsors. So references for the last 2 years, if you have IT work experience, or if you just graduated from a program and don't have any IT work experience, you would instead then provide 2 sponsors. And again, you can click these and it'll provide some more detail. Now, when you download the application itself, which is again at kips.ca/certification, it's a single document that you download, single document that you fill out. In a summary, essentially, there's 2 main sections you need to fill out in there. The first is the IT education section, which you would document the education that you have, and then you would send us official transcripts or official Canadian course-by-course education equivalency assessments. And we accept a variety of them. They're included in the application, but WES tends to by far be the most popular service that is used. For the experience section, you would fill out in the application documenting your experience and demonstrating how you have the required SFIA levels in order to be approved for CIPS designations. You would also attach your resume, and then also the skills assessment that you would have taken using the skill assessment tool. And finally, you would also need 1,000 hours of IT work experience in the last 12 months if you are looking to be approved for the I.S.P or ITCP. Now, this is just a zoomed out view of the various routes to be approved for CIPS certification. So for example, you could be, if you graduated from an accredited program, and what that means is it's been accredited by CIPS or a solo core signatory. And in terms of like what that means in terms of a CIPS accreditation is the CIPS accreditation team actually goes to the school and does an assessment of their program to ensure that they meet required standards and be approved for that accreditation. So if you did graduate from an accredited program, you can check that out at, I believe it's accredited, kips.ca/accredited. You will have access to the list of programs there that have been accredited. And if your program has been accredited, you would only need, it was an accredited 4-year university program. You would only need 2 years of IT experience working at SFIA level 3. Or if you're looking to get the ITCP, only 1 year of work experience at SFIA level 5. And so actually, in this case, would be the ITCP is actually you still need that requirement of last 2 years working at a minimum SFIA level 5. Now, on the other end of that, if you graduated from a non-accredited 2-year college program, you would need 7 years of IT experience and currently working at SFIA level 3 for the I.S.P. Or for the ITCP, you would need 6 years of IT work experience with the last 2 years at SFIA level 5. Now, if you don't have any IT education or you just have lots of IT experience, there are also experience-only routes. So for the I.S.P designation, that's 8 years of IT experience and working at SFIA level 3. With the ITCP, 8 years of work experience with the last 2 years at minimum of SFIA level 5. Now I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into that skill assessment tool because that is one of the main items that you'll spend time on when applying for CIPS certification. And you can do that via the CIPS homepage. You'll see that certification link, and underneath that, there's the skill assessment career planning, or there's also a big image there for skill assessment career planning that you can click. And then once you get to that page, you can just click get started, and you would log in with the CIPS membership login that you set up when you joined. Now, when you first use a skill assessment tool, the first part is taking a variety of surveys to discover the various skills that you have and at what levels. If you like surveys, I would say either pick the years of experience that they list that is relevant to you, or if you really like it, you can even pick the whole framework. It's just the more years of experience you have, the more questions they're going to ask you to discover more skills. If you're not a big fan of surveys, you can even click something that's maybe a little bit less than what you are at in order to just get a brief snapshot of some of your skills, and then you can spend more time in the planner section to add additional skills instead if you like. So actually go back there for a second. So over here, you'll see that these are all the listed surveys. It gives you list how many questions are in each survey, an estimate of each time, and you can start these and come back. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. The first 2 especially, you'll get done in like 5 minutes. And then the other ones, it might take a little bit more time, and you might be able to do it in one sitting, or you might just want to do it over a few days. And the first part of the skill assessment is basically asking you questions to discover the general SFIA skills that you have of autonomy, influence, business skills, complexity, and knowledge. So it just asks you a question, and then you pick the one that is most relevant to you. So for example, at the top here, it's saying works under close direction, while at the bottom here, it's saying at the highest organizational level. And they're all pretty similar, so we just go through that and pick basically where you're at, and you don't have to worry if you make, a mistake. You can update that in the planner and adjust that. So this is the strategy and architecture section. It's showing you an example of the question, and it also tries to determine if you are competent, where you have a lot of experience, proficient, you have some work experience, or knowledge. Maybe you just took an IT program, but you don't have the work experience yet for that skill. And I mentioned that the skills include also non-IT skills, so things like people and skills and relationship and engagement. And again, those surveys will ask you questions to determine what skills you have in those areas at what levels. And then when you complete it, you'll get a nice export of the skills that you have with the definition, the level you're at, and then also the specific skills you have. And it also shows, again, if you're competent, which means you're an 85 or more % match to that skill. Proficient, 50 to 85% match to that skill, or knowledge, you just have the theoretical knowledge, but not yet the professional IT work experience. So this is a nice output that you can provide to potential clients or employers if you like, but it's also one of the main requirements for the experience section of the CIPS certification application. So once you complete the surveys, you'll get then access to the skills profile. So in this skills profile, it's basically showing what we just looked at there. This is the export PDF that you'll be emailed, but this is now using the skill assessment tool. This is what that looks like. Again, listing the various skills you have and at what levels. And you can click Edit Profile, which will open up skills that you haven't been assessed yet, and you can also change some of your results. So in this example, click Edit Profile. I'm looking at planning. All you have to do is hover over the empty space or the space where the skill is at what level, and it'll give you a description. So in this case, if you go over planning at level 6, this description pops up and it says initiates and influences strategic objectives and assigns responsibilities. And I might be like, okay, yeah, that sounds more like me. So I would just click that and that's highlighted instead. And then you would just click save when you're done. So a nice way to quickly and easily read the various definitions for what a higher level might be. And then you can easily click it to make that adjustment. Now, this is not required for the CIPS certification application, but it's a nice member benefit that you can take advantage of. If you want to do some career planning, what you can do is you can assign either a current role or a future role, and it'll basically show if you have any skills gaps compared to the skills that you were just assessed at. So when you click assign, this is what pops up, and it lists a variety of Canadian NOC codes, which I'll mention in a second. You can also click the self-assessed to show you the percentage match based on the skills you have to the skills that are required for those roles. Check current and future, and you could save it, and then that'll allow you to overlay the skills for those jobs onto the current skills you have and see what skills gaps you have and what professional development you have to take. And again, those roles in the system are from the Canadian governments. They're the national occupation classification codes. If you want to get more info and description on those, you can find that on the Government of Canada website. So when you overlay that role, so this is one of those NOC roles actually this might be a role from the CIPS job board. But in this case, a future role has been set, and all of a sudden you see all these green items. Those are related to that role, and you can see any gaps compared to the skills that I was assessed at. So in this example, autonomy, I was assessed at level 5, but it's saying that level 6 is required, and it shows an X there. So that's a gap. So wherever there's an X, it's showing there's a gap. I need to do some professional development in order to get that skill if I want that future role. And same thing with the specific skills here. The only item note here is that if it's a yellow, it's showing that it's a nice to have skill, but not a requirement for that role. And then lastly on that, you can click the action plan, which just pulls up a list of those gaps that you have, again, showing whether they are required or recommended. And then if you click that little plus beside that skill, it'll allow you to easily input some professional development. So maybe you're taking a course or something, you can set a target date, save it, and the system will give you updates if you have missed your deadline to complete that. So a nice way to conduct some professional development and upskill in the areas that you need to in order to progress in your career. So back to the CIPS certification application, there's just one last item here, just kind of show you the application itself, and then we'll open it up for questions. So again, this is kips.ca/certification, or you can click the certification link at the top there, and you'll have access to everything you need here. Most importantly, you can just download the application, and the application also has all the information that you need. And there's two main sections in the application, like I mentioned. Section 1 is the education section. So you would list the details for your college or university. And if you're sending official transcripts, you would indicate when that was sent. However, if your school was from outside of North America, then you would send a Canadian course by course equivalency assessment instead. And the important part is that needs to list it has to be a course by course, which means it lists the individual IT courses that you completed and their grades, instead of just a general summary of the equivalence of the diploma or degree. And you can, there's a few areas you can copy and paste a template if you need, but basically any education that you list here, along with official documents that are sent directly to CIPS, can be used to obtain education points for your certification application. Also, if you have the British Computer Society or ITCP exams, in particular the BCS diploma level or professional graduate level exams, or ICCP exams leading to the CCP or equivalents, those can also be used to get education points. And now this is that experience section. So for the experience section, the important part is to list your entire IT work history. If you only list the first, last couple of years, that's all the years that you're going to get credit for. Even if you have it listed on your resume submission for its account, it needs to be documented in this section. And you also need to clearly document all different roles over the different years. So enter a time period, the organization was a full-time, your role. And then in terms of your responsibilities, what you can simply do is click the links that are provided. So for example, you can click influence, you click that link, it'll give you a definition of what is required for different SFIA levels, and you would just enter specific examples of your work responsibilities and activities and relate them to SFIA. And again, please make sure that you list and separate all your roles because the assessors are looking to see career progression. Now, just in this example with the business skills, so if you were to click that business skills link in the application, it would take you to this on the left, which basically shows business skills at these variety levels. So, maybe at first glance, you think you're level 5 and you're going to be approved for the ITCP. You would read the details, demonstrates leadership and operational management, and then provide an example in the application of, how you would demonstrate that leadership. So nice way to just read the definition and then relate your work experience to that. Now, one thing I do want to note that this on the right here, this was recently released in October. This is the SFIA 9 business skills, and this is what you will see in the skills assessment report. For the sake of simplicity, you can simply relate it to this definition. This is, again, the link in the application, and it's just a more general business skills. While in SFIA 9, basically business skills has been broken down into these 12 specific skills. And you also see it as the second section of the skills assessment. It's a big blue section that lists all the variety of skills, and it's allowing you to be more specific for these various areas. If you like, you might not have skills in all these areas. The only important part is that you're demonstrating the required SFIA level in order to get the designation. So for example, if you're looking to get the I.S.P designation, which is SFIA level 3, you can either use the simple business skills from SFIA 8, which is here, or you can click each individual, or not any of the skills that you've been assessed at or you have skills at, and demonstrate that you again have SFIA level 3 in that skills. And the summary of these would have to be minimum SFIA level 3 if you're looking to get the I.S.P, or SFIA level 5 if you're looking to get the ITCP.